I'm going to be walking you through how I get a perfectly blunt haircut at home all on my own. I've actually done this haircut 3 times already, and I've had a successful cut every single time. So I'm going to be walking you through the process today. I did film it and I have the clips here, so let's get into it. If you've ever attempted to cut your hair at home, you may have done this process of pulling it forward and then cutting straight across. And it's not exactly the best way to get a blunt haircut. The reason being is that when you pull your hair forward, you're actually shifting the baseline. So you may notice that the back of the hair is actually slightly shorter than the front. Some people may refer this to the A-line effect, and yet somehow if you have that sort of A-line look in the front, if you were to push it back, you would still end up with a perfectly blunt haircut, or what we call a squared blunt haircut. Before beginning the tutorial process, if you're going to be cutting your hair with me today, make sure that you part your hair down the center and on the top and the back, and then down the middle here on the side. If you have medium hair, you can do this in 2 sections. If you have thick hair, you will need 3 sections, and if you have thin hair, you can do it in 1 go. The way you get rid of this baseline effect when you pull it forward is by pulling the hair forward and then looking off to your side and looking up towards the ceiling. This actually shifts the baseline and it creates a blunt haircut when you push it back. To demonstrate, I want to show you with my hands. My hair is already cut into a squared blunt haircut. If I hold my baseline, notice how when I'm looking forward, my left hand is slightly above my right hand. But if I were to shift my head over my shoulder and then look up towards the ceiling, now my right hand is slightly above or parallel to my left hand. And this is the technique that gives you a perfect blunt haircut on your own. At home, I want you to look in the mirror, have both sides of your hair on either side, turn your body so that you are facing the mirror with your head like this, and rather than simply cutting straight across here, do this and then cut straight across. Is this making sense to you? All right, so enough explaining about the technique. Let's get into the haircut. I want you to grab a section from either side of the head at the nape of your neck and trim it straight across, and this is going to be your guide for both sides so you get an even haircut. Now simply do the technique of looking to the side, glide your hands down, and after finding your guide, go ahead and cut straight across. I then go back in and make sure that I haven't missed any spots, and I make sure that the cut is perfectly blunt so that when I do let it down, it does give me that A-line effect. And when I push it back, it is a squared blunt cut. At this point, I'm just going to repeat the same process on the other side and work my way up the head. If you're noticing that I am cutting on wet hair, I do recommend to cut on wet hair, but if you feel more comfortable cutting it dry, then simply flat iron your hair ahead of time and do it that way. I also make sure to check my sections every time I finish a piece so that I can make sure that both sides are even. And I just want to add, don't be afraid of making little mistakes. Understand that if you are doing this on your own and it's your first time, you probably will make a few mistakes along the way, but eventually you'll get the hang of it and it will become easier. So at this point in the video, I am stretching out my humpback and I'm gonna start blow dry and flat ironing. After I've finished my blow dry and my flat iron, I'm going to go in and make sure that I haven't missed any pieces. If you did miss some pieces, simply go in and trim those off. Almost every single time that I've cut my hair, it's very, very difficult to get these little stragglers that always escape at the nape of the neck. And the best way to get them is simply to push your hair back and kind of reach for them, find them. You'll be able to pick them out and then pull them forward, look for them in the front and trim them across. Or you could have a friend help you and simply go in and texturize that little section. It's usually very, very small and a slight little V in the very center. So here are the final results of what it looks like after it's done. It is perfectly blunt and straight across and pretty close to what you would get in the salon. I will say, however, that if you noticed, while I was cutting the hair, rather than looking up towards the ceiling, I ended up kind of pushing my head back. And while it does give similar results, it did not give me as A-line of an effect as I wanted in the very front here. So I went back in the next day and I followed the process all over again, this time making sure to look up towards the ceiling and not push my head back. I do like a very squared looking haircut, so here are the results of that. You can see that the front is much longer than the back, and I like it like that. And yet, if you look at the hair from the back, it does look very blunt and straight across, so that's good. And that's it. That's how you get a perfectly blunt haircut at home all by yourself. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have a few questions or you feel like it seemed a little bit too complicated for you still, feel free to ask them down below. If you want to attempt this haircut at home but are afraid that you're gonna mess up, you can book a 20-minute consultation with me. And when you fill out the consultation form before we meet, just let me know that you're going to be attempting your blunt haircut, and I can help you through it during those 20 minutes. My website link will be down below, and simply go to the book page and book from there. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you next time.